Where do I begin with Stefanski? I mean, where do I begin? There's a plethora of things that need to be done with him. From early in the game, him rushing to the line of scrimmage, even though it was a bad spot, you either challenge it, call a timeout, rethink, and kick the field goal. I mean, the fourth quarter was all made perceived on that call. If we kick the field goal there, we're not down fucking where we need a 2-point conversion. He just makes mistake after mistake after mistake because he's too stubborn. And I don't care what anyone says. Jacoby Brissett should have been benched today in the second half. He should have never started the third quarter. He didn't have it today. He's horrible. He's flat out horrible. You listen to him in his post-game presser, I don't know how he's a quarterback. He can't even speak. I mean, he has to think before. Every time you ask a question, you have to think. Stefanski's the problem. Obviously, Joe Woods is horrible, but these players are not responding. But no one wants to blame Stefanski. He is horrible. Stefanski is not a head coach. He is an offensive coordinator that needs to be under the guidance of a head coach. He needs to have a head coach watch over him and tell him what we're looking for here, a field goal or a touchdown. He can't make these decisions because they're terrible. He's horrible. This team's a top 5 roster. We all know that. And it's playing like a bottom 5 team. It's the worst team in the league right now. It really is. They got blown out. They made Bailey Zapp a rookie. I think his first start, whatever. Or I don't know if, whatever. He's not good. They made him look like Tom Brady. He was throwing the wide open guys. They made him look unbelievable. It's he's terrible. Kevin Stefanski's the worst coach we ever had. He's terrible. The Ivy League boys, their philosophy on building a football team is an embarrassment. It is a travesty. We don't need defensive tackles. We're going to build a team like no one's ever done in the NFL. We're going to show you how it's done. Well, guess what? It's not working. It's flat out embarrassing what these guys are doing. I'm embarrassed. The Cleveland Browns are an embarrassment right now. Kevin Stefanski's an embarrassment. I got to walk to the store because my car's wrecked. And it happened to wreck the car on, Saturday, so I can't call insurance until tomorrow. But yeah, I can go on and on. Stefanski's got to go. He's the worst coach in football. He don't know how to use his players. Nick Chubb's never on the field at times when we need him. He doesn't go for, doesn't take points. When you need points, he just gives them up. How you doing? Good. He doesn't take points when you need them. I mean, that 3 points would have came in handy late in the game, wouldn't it have? Instead of being down 2 scores, whatever, has to have to go for 2. We could just go for an extra point there and be down 6. But no, Kevin doesn't do the right call. Always makes the wrong call. And I'm tired of it. Dobbs should have been starting the second half. And you know what? If he played good enough, you start him against Baltimore. He has a dimension Jacoby don't. Here's the problem with Jacoby. When he can't pull the trigger because he sits in that pocket and he waits too long, his processor's so slow, he could be running. Dobbs will run. Dobbs is like Lamar Jackson. He's not a great passer, but he can do more than Brissett right now. Brissett can only make like 3 throws on the field, and they're all short routes. He can't throw the deep ball. He had a touchdown he left on the board because he underthrew Njoku. He's terrible. Now, he did throw a touchdown pass in the fourth quarter, and Njoku should have caught. You're paying Njoku all this money. He was afraid to get hit by the safety coming from the weak side. He was scared. You can't have that. But overall, it's Stefanski. He's the problem. He's just one of those egomaniacs. When things go bad, he snowballs. He doesn't make adjustments at all. We've been outscored in the second half every game except the Steeler game. That's the only game we've outscored the opposing team. So if you're getting outscored in the second half every game of the year except for one game, what does that tell you? This guy is not a head coach. He's never going to be a head coach. In fact, if they fire him tomorrow, no one's going to hire him as a head coach. He'll get a coordinator job. Joe Woods should be fired. This team's in complete disarray. It's embarrassing. Oh, my God. They scored on the same play twice, them running plays. They weren't even, the thought of them running the ball wasn't even in Cleveland's arsenal. It's embarrassing. It's like a high school coach team. And the offense was pathetic today because Stefanski, he gave up on the run just like he did against New England last year. He just gave up on it. He didn't even try to establish the run. His first play of the game, I think, was a rollout, Brissett, and he underthrew interception. You can't put him in them situations. Jacoby Brissett's terrible. He's horrible. We know that now. And this is another thing about the Ivy League boys. They actually thought Jacoby Brissett was an answer for 11 games. And tell me, unless they were writing the season off. Were they writing the seasons off? Because they might have been. I hate Stefanski. The worst coach ever. Undisciplined, not smart, poorly coached. You got an onside kick there. Yeah, the guy gave effort, but he's got to be smarter. He knew he was out of bounds. The other guy fielding the punt. They don't even have a punt returner. That guy that fumbled the ball, he's usually solid, but he doesn't give you nothing after he catches it. It's just a bad, poorly coached team. It starts on top with, I'm tired of these Stefanski people think he's a guy, like he's a great coach. What has he done outside of the COVID season? And the guy in earlier in my private chat on Twitter made a valid point. He said, all these Ivy League guys did, that Cam guy from Canada, he said all they did was get everybody prepared better on Zoom calls in the COVID season. And that's because it's a classroom situation, basically. They're better teachers, that's it. But when it comes to football, they don't believe in defensive tackles. They don't have a priority on getting linebackers. Their philosophy is put all kinds of speed in the secondary, let's draft secondary guys and put them out there and let's win that way because it's a passing league. Not thinking about the run. They're terrible. So we got to get rid of Stefanski. He's the main problem. And Woods and Purifer. It's just a horribly constructed coaching staff. It's funny, the only one we got in the playoffs, Stefanski was at home with COVID. And even when he came back against Kansas City, he blew that game for us. The only thing he did good was get rid of Mayfield. That's the only thing I'll give him. He got rid of Mayfield. And when you think about how he got rid of Mayfield, it's just the type of guy that's, he got rid of Mayfield. He sabotaged him. And he had to do it because Jimmy Haslam liked Mayfield. And we all know Mayfield's horrible. Mayfield's actually worse than Brissett. But he had to sabotage Mayfield. Is this the type of guy you want running your team? When he'll sabotage a player just because he doesn't like him? Anthony Schwartz, terrible draft pick. Okosa, whatever, he's horrible. I'm sorry, the linebacker out of Notre Dame's terrible. Waste of a pick. He's a tweener. He's got to put on 30 pounds. He's just terrible. Newsom got beat like a drum today. Twice, maybe even more. The only thing this front office does good is they sign free agents. Although they did sign Austin Hooper, and he turned out to be horrible. And they make a few trades again, but they can trade away Mac Wilson, who's better than any linebacker we got right now. So, that was obviously John Dorsey guy. Got to get rid of their guys. This team, these Harvard guys, Ivy League school guys, they're embarrassing the Cleveland Browns football. They're embarrassing NFL football, and I'm embarrassed for them. This team, Hugh Jackson's team put up more fight than these guys today. But in that fourth quarter, when we scored, we cut it down to 2 scores. We missed the 2-point conversion. If we would have had that field goal earlier in the game that Stefanski wouldn't take, would have been a different game. It just snowballed from there. We had a fumble. The defense at times plays good, but for the most part, and we're playing terrible offenses right now. Wait till we play good offense. Now, on the other hand, if we win next week and the week after, we're in first place. What's that mean? That tells me that we're in first place, but if we had a real coach, we could have like a 2 or 3 game cushion in first place. That's what that tells me. Go ahead and hit me. I could use something. I'm wishing this person would back into me. I'm disgusted about having my car wrecked by some lady that went through a fucking she went through a fucking red light. That pisses me off. People said I should have sued her. I thought about it. I just want my car fixed. I feel a lot better now than I did earlier. Yesterday I had a concussion and my spinal cord was concussed. But I feel a lot better now. I'm walking to the store. But anyway, yeah, the Ivy League boys, it's over. It's over. The worst administration we ever had. It's like the Biden administration. It truly is. We need to get football people in there. And in fact, I watched Josh Allen play, and it makes me sick because if John Dorsey drafted him instead of that midget Mayfield, we'd be talking a different story right now. We wouldn't have these Ivy League boys. And we'd probably have a couple Super Bowls right now. Because we had talent. He got us. He got Odell Beckham and, Jarvis Landry. He made one mistake, and a big one. He drafted Mayfield. That was another mistake, too, with Freddie Kitchens. But I'll tell you what, he knew about football players, didn't he? Anthony Schwartz, useless. Kosea Moore, useless. Newsom, I think he'll be good, but he didn't play good today. Guess what I'm going to the store for? mashed potatoes. The same thing that I went for yesterday that caused everything. Because if I didn't go there, I wouldn't have been in that car wreck. Anyway, yeah, I'm not happy. Kevin Stefanski's horrible. And all these Browns fans that think Kevin Stefanski's, oh, he's God, he's such a great, he's horrible. When's he been a good coach? When has he ever been able to make in-game adjustments? When has he ever been able to make any type of adjustments? Halftime, he gets out to, at halftime, he outcoaches himself, and the other team always makes adjustments, and they outcoach him. I mean, we've been outscored in the second half 5 of the 6 games. So what's that tell you? He can't coach. Good coaches don't get outscored in the second half. They don't. They do the outscoring. Kevin is an embarrassment. Even Mike Tomlin, who's horrible, he beat Tom Brady and the Buccaneers today with a horrible quarterback situation. Horrible. Although I did tell you once, what's his name, Trubisky is back in there, he'll do good. And he did. Pickett's horrible. He had like 11-17 for like 60 yards. He's horrible. Jimmy Hassan, you have my consent and permission to fire these clowns. Start with the Ivy League boys. Get rid of them. They're terrible. Let's keep building a football team. They did get Watson, I'll give them that. But that was, what good is it? Their backup plan was Jacoby Brissett. And I really think if Josh Dobbs gets to play, I think he'll give us a lot more than Brissett. At least he can run when he needs to. So, yeah, I'm not happy. But things could be worse. We win next week, we're in first place, basically. Could be in first place. We win next week, and the week after, we are in first place. So, yes, we still control everything, but we could have had such a big lead in this division if we would have took care of the games we needed to take care of early in the season. There's no excuse to lose to the New England Patriots today. None whatsoever. Because Cincinnati, they were down the whole game, but they came back. I'll give them credit. But they're not a good team. Baltimore, they're struggling. They're not a good team. We're not a good team. Pittsburgh's not a good team. So basically, everybody in the division are about the same. Now, I'd say we have a better chance if we make the playoffs than anybody else if we get things fixed. Because once Watson comes back, I do believe he's definitely the best quarterback in that division. And I guarantee you, he'll do whatever he wants. If he doesn't like a play Kevin calls, he'll audible out of it, and Kevin can't do a damn thing. Do I think Stefanski will get fired? No. Should he get fired? Yes. All these people that think Stefanski's a great coach, they don't know football. He's not a leader. He can't make adjustments. And his only emotion he shows is when someone questions him in his press conference. Mary Kay Cabot asked him, did he ever think about benching Jacoby for Josh Dobbs? And he sounded like he was pissed off about it. He's like, no, not at all. That's off the table. How the fuck could you watch that game and not think about benching him? I would have been preparing him for next week against Baltimore. But that's the difference between me and Kevin. I don't have an ego. It's obvious that Kevin wanted Jacoby because he don't turn the ball over usually, but he's turning it over at an alarming rate now. But he's still better than Baker Mayfield. And that's a fact. Anyway, tomorrow I'm going to go to the insurance company and get a rental, start looking for another vehicle. Probably get not an FJ because I'll never find a good FJ like that again. So probably get a 4Runner. Maybe even a Tacoma, something. But yeah, that's what I'm going through right now. So I really don't even care about this. If my car wasn't wrecked right now, I would be livid about this loss. Fucking livid. Being my car's wrecked, I got other priorities. Anyway. It is what it is. The division's still right there for the taking. The question is, will Stefanski be able to swallow some of his fucking pride and ego and make the appropriate adjustments? Should they take away play calling? And I said this before. I was like, if you take away play calling, what value does he add to the team? But at this point, I think you need to take away play calling because you know what? He's giving us nothing from that now. He took points off the board again. You got to take points against the New England Patriots. You have to. No matter how bad they are. So he got outcoached twice by Bill Belichick in a bad way. Anyway, I'm going to end this now. I'm almost at my point of where I need to be.